My tea wasn't ready, so now my tea's ready, so now I can be live. You know, important things, getting it all up there. So we got, let's see. We're not sure. Oh, yeah. Ubiquiti, all that stuff. There's so many things to talk about here. So many things. Lots of people live on this one, too. I'm running the new version of Pop OS. So there's that, because that's cool. Let's see. Hey, everyone. Homebrew tech support. Oh, yeah. Hey, Cody. Let's see what else we have in here. Fayetteville, Arkansas. Has Ubiquiti been hacked? No, not that I know of. I don't know of any hacking going on with them. Mostly what we know about Ubiquiti right now is over at status.ui.com. Let's pull that up because that's a good place to start, right? Yeah, ui.com. Let me switch to that tab. Yes, that's where the problem really is at the status page for Ubiquiti, because I don't know. Update. Remote access is gradually being restored. This is sometimes a problem when you restore things, and this is at 1955 UTC. The problem is, as you restore things, sometimes you restore them really fast, faster than your servers are able to deal with the restore. Is everyone's just hammering away, refresh, and they're getting the hug of the F5 button by a million people using their product. That's my guess of what's going on there. So yeah, they're broken. Netherlands and more rogue employees. I don't know if it's rogue employees. I think Amazon knocked them off. I just don't think they're having a good time getting it started back up. Amazon took out all kinds of things yesterday. AWS East was last week's problem. This week is AWS West to have a turn. So, because why not? Why not? We need more outages in the cloud. And I took a dig at it. I won't lie. I took a dig at it because I'm not going to lie. I talked about this in my video where I said, should you buy a UniFi Dream Machine? And one of my responses is, what if the cloud goes down and you can't register your device? Well, here we are. The cloud went down. You can't register your device. I mean, I don't really know what to say about that. What's up with the UXG Pro? I don't know. I don't know what's up with the UXG Pro. I mean, it's still a unified gateway, so I got nothing on it. It's going to be run by the same software. So why it's not an interesting product to me. So I see people asking about them. The thing is with Ubiquiti's routing products, until they get better software, their routing products are not relevant to me. Their routing is like the big shortcoming of their offering. That's why we don't use their routers. This is why Riley from HostiFi does very well with selling HostiFi as a service. And he'll even tell you, this was a comment he just had in a discussion just the other day on Facebook in a forum where Riley said, most of my customers do not run any type of USGs. It's just not what they run because they're problematic. And it's the software problem. So you just don't use their firewalls has been my answer. I don't really know what to say about it. I see people complaining about it, and I'm like, I've said it and reiterated in every possible way in every video I can. We don't use them. There's people posting in my forums because they can't get support in Ubiquiti forums asking for help with things. I'm like, I don't know what to help you with your Dream Machine. It did that. I don't know. So it's yeah. They have a feature that says they're going to be removing the single sign-on. I don't know why that's a feature, because it used to, you didn't require it. It's like they take that feature away from you to be able to sign on yourself and then give it back to you. Oh, this is a bragging feature. I don't understand why they ever had it in the first place. Yeah. I think 40net, 48's gotten better than they used to be, but they had some really bad flaws in their product. They just, I'm hoping they cleaned up their team that did it. Their flaws weren't like security is hard flaws. Their flaws were like, we did dumb things kind of flaws. And by the way, we hard coded credentials and things like that. So in the past, I've been hard on 40net because I've not been impressed with their product. They are really pricey. Good marketing team to get everyone convinced on them, and they sing a song and dance about all your margins and reseller fees you get out of them. But as far as like, if you look up the flaws that 48 has had in the past, they were bad because they were self-inflicted wounds. That's the best way to describe it. If you look up my channel, it's one of my only rants about 48. So that's where a lot of the problem is there. Let's see. pfSense is the best router platform. I like pfSense. I like Untangle because someone else posted in my forum with the usual question, hey, I really like Untangle, but I don't want to pay those fees, but I want that web filtering feature. How can I get pfSense to give me the same web filtering I pay for in Untangle? And I'm like, there's no easy way. That's what you're charging for. You can stop paying Untangle and it'll work. It just loses the fun web filtering features. I mean, that's a paid for service to do that. So yeah, it's yeah, all the Untangle customers that have the filtering requirements, that's usually what makes people go, I need these filtering requirements, no problem. That, you know, we'll jump on it and put an Untangle in there and the license fees get rolled in, but they work. They're pretty trouble free. Have I heard of the PC security channel? They do malware tests against AV products that actually perform against real threats. You know, I've seen it, and they're really novel. I mean, there's a couple testing facilities that do that, but it's hard. It's not like any easy way to really evaluate. Your only thing you're ever doing is evaluating that moment. That's it. And that moment changes from time to time, because if you look at Virus Total, which runs things against different engines, you'll find that randomly one of the engines may find it before the other, but that's not a consistent. That's this particular virus. So this particular attempt virus, whatever it is, was detected, or this signature, I should say, was detected first by this company. But then we ran the test next week with a completely new thing, and then the other company won. It's not a really good test. I'll just be honest. And one thing I've learned, especially in this has come out, we've talked about this in the Huntress when I've been on their live streams. Huntress has said this before many times. There is no foolproof system. That's it. Every system they've seen, because Huntress, because it's a detection tool, it can see the detection. It can see their antivirus. They know what was running on the computer at the time it was infected. They will tell you wholeheartedly, nothing stops everything. End of story. So yeah, it's one of those things. And if you want a better understanding of a lot of security, honestly, like a lot of CAV vendors are getting rid of free licensing. That's probably true. Honestly, just use the one built into Windows. It's actually really solid. Even Huntress, one of the things Huntress offers is their managed AV product through managing the tools inside of Windows. This is, I talked about this. If you look at one of my, I can't remember when I did it. It might have been last year. Everything's kind of a blur. One of the last update videos I did with Huntress talks about their manage AV features. And I think I even showed how it worked, at least a little brief overview of how it can manage Windows Defender. Windows Defender is, if you look at some of those AV ratings by companies that they've done, let me find it. It's an AV Labs company. Antivirus. What was that company called? This one. It's been a long time since I looked at it, but last time I looked, and all results, current security products for Windows 10. Hey, look at how close they all score. Where's Microsoft Defender? listed as a top product because, yeah, protection against 0-day, September 100%, 99, 100. That's the thing. It's pretty solid. This is actually, me and Xavier talked about this a couple times when we were talking about some of the hacking stuff, is just how good AV has become, specifically Windows Defender AV. It's gotten substantially better than it was before. And it's ranking up there with the other things. Does it have other bells and whistles? No. That's why some people go, well, I need all these other things on there. I think it's actually a pretty solid product. I've recommended it to people before too. So I don't really, yeah. Yeah, AV test, AV comparison. This is the domain is av-test.org. They're actually some type of independent lab. They have an about us, so there's a fact page on here. Test performance makes test results available, private for user to charge, assist on product, blah, blah, blah. Advertises government, student companies for testing, selection, implementation. Yeah. So they're a AV testing place. Has there been any network controller compromise of Log4j? I don't know that anyone has been able to weaponize it yet. Not that I've seen. But I still, if you have a publicly exposed controller, you are at risk if you don't patch. Bottom line, specifically the 5.4 patch, the latest 5.5 patch is a denial of service condition, but it doesn't mean someone won't figure out a way to make it better, because these attacks only ever get better. So nonetheless, I highly recommend having a patch. I don't know of any way to weaponize it, but people do know it's vulnerable. So it's only a matter of time before someone weaponizes it. And if someone weaponizes it, and that someone doesn't happen to be on the good guy's side, as in their white hat, if there's a black hat out there, and then they're going to exploit it and they're going to leverage it for whatever they can do with it. So yeah, I wouldn't doubt it won't be long before it gets weaponized. That's, yeah. Is it just one's publicly reachable at risk? Having control running in Docker is joined to the UniFi cloud. I don't know of an angle at this moment that they could come back through the UniFi cloud and get it. But as long as you're not publicly exposed, that just means publicly no one can do it. If something is on your network, it becomes a pivot point. This is where a lot of people get a little bit confused about how lateral movement works. And with lateral movement, that means, kind of like the name implies, they get in your network and they pivot and move laterally. So if a threat actor takes over your computer and your computer can talk to other devices, they can then leverage that connection to start looking for exploits. So even if you're behind a firewall, I mean, obviously, depending on the security of your network, it's lower risk because hopefully you've got your network secured, but it's just so understanding where the attack plays. It goes from an external, you did nothing threat to a existential crisis, because it's facing the internet and things can start hitting it. But if you have it running local on your network and there's nothing on your network that's going to try and attack it, you should be good. So yeah, not publicly reachable. Let's see. Yeah, I do admit back to the topic of this. Actually, let's log into it, because a few people asked about this. The UniFi video is not of a potential attack vector. It's not affected by Log4j. Let me get logged into this. There we go. Just bring it up real quick. The UniFi video, Yes, John Hammond's video with John Strand was actually that's great. Go watch it if you don't. They got some cool stuff coming out. He's got the pay-as-you-go options for cybersecurity training. When people ask me about cybersecurity stuff, John Hammond, just follow him. He's great, awesome, does a great job of it. So definitely worth following if you want to dive deeper into some of the cybersecurity things. But the yes, the UniFi camera system, not vulnerable to that particular Log4j. It's not something that's a problem with the camera system, if anyone's wondering. Let's see. Docking station, it takes down the network without the computer being connected. UniFi network 1620 AP. The problem is that one device can take down a network. Sounds like a loop in the network and spanning tree. That's usually when one device can do it, but need a lot more details to solve a problem like that. I stole your Lord of the Rings post for a Discord server. Oh yeah, please. I want memes to be shared. Any meme I take the time to make, please share it. I don't even care if I get credit. It's not like that matters to me. I'm like, I just want to see memes go around. I always laugh. I posted memes on Reddit and have found them on Facebook later, and I'm not even the one that posted them. I'm like, hey, look, there's that thing I did. I'm just happy to see it. So I never use Open Media Vault. I don't have a use case for it, but it does work on Raspberry Pi where TrueNAS doesn't. I use more I use TrueNAS because I use bigger things all the time that require things like TrueNAS that exceed the ability of things like Open Media Vault. So it's cool for that limited just use case. I use the higher end use cases for everything when it comes to the TrueNAS. So that's what I use. I'm use it if you want. I don't have any preference for it. I don't have a use case for it, as I've said many, many times. Let's see. Oh, I could probably even share this here. Let me go look through my LinkedIn. I want to give a shout out to my friend Ray. LinkedIn is garbage for figuring out things sometimes, like where I posted stuff. So let me find the message from Ray because it's easier to share it from there. Because I'll do Ray a favor here. Oh, look at this. Look at this. We'll just drop this right here for people. All right. So, support technician, tier 1. I will drop this link here in the live stream as well. But if you follow me on LinkedIn, by the way, connect with me on LinkedIn. That's easy enough to find me on LinkedIn. Connect with me there. But I'll drop this link in here. This is my friend is looking for someone over at OIT VoIP. They're hiring. So, yeah, if reach out to them if you are looking for a job, and they're looking for support techs. So I figured I'll bring that up. Let's see. What else did I say? It should take care of the loop, but I've seen people disable it, turn it off. I need a whole lot more information to troubleshoot a problem like you're having. I don't think it can be done here in a live stream. It's probably something better left over to the forums. What do you use for internal DNS backend configuration? pfSense. So pfSense does our backend DNS here. What service do you recommend for UniFi Cloud Controller? Would be for HostiFi. If you don't want to manage the controller yourself, just use HostiFi. We have a ton of people who recommend. It's funny because I get weird requests once in a while, and they're like, "Oh, I want you to manage it, Tom." No problem. You want me to manage your controller? I'm gonna just take and sign you up for a HostiFi account and then bill you for it. And I'll put a markup on it. So I've told that to people, like, well, I could probably sign up a HostiFi myself. I'm like, yeah, you probably could. I mean, that's our usual recommendations, unless we're actually going to be actively engaging in doing it. So, I have no bearing on what they're paying. 31 to 45,000 for a support tier 1 support technician working from home. I don't know if that's good or bad for the particular industry he's in or not. So that's going to be nonetheless. That's another thing. HostiFi has been really quick. Riley's done a great job of being right on top of all the updates. That is at least something that less people have to worry about. So buffering. Yes, you should be doing schoolwork. Get that project score up, Marcus. Get your grade up. That's my son, for those of you wondering. Is this a regular salary in the US? I don't know. Maybe average. I would say probably it's market average. It really depends, and it varies greatly with what other perks the jobs offers are. If you're in California, that's not even a living wage. If you live in some of the areas of California where the cost of living, or New York City's got a really high cost of living, and comparatively speaking, the cost of living is substantially lower in somewhere like, well, where I'm at right now. So Ireland starts at 45K euro. Okay. Yeah, it's going to vary a lot from country to country. Cost of living and everything else is wildly different in those different places. Junior network engineer around 70, 80. Not for a junior. I mean, maybe that, but not that many juniors. They usually want someone a little bit more seasoned before you get up to that. So yeah, I preached about this in my video about the UniFis. I was like, yeah, the UDM Pro being down, people reached out to me, Ubiquiti's not responding. And I'm like, I can't respond any more than they're down. And they decided forced registration is their idea. Here's forced registration, guys. Oh, wait, our cloud was down. Yeah, sorry, you can't register and turn on the devices. So yeah, it generally, I mean, it depends on the market, but it does take some experience to make the over 70K. That it's complicated, and depends where you work, and depends on the work environment. It's one of those things, like, if you're just in it for the money, go in the financial side of the world too, because if you get into some of the high-end financial markets, you can make a lot of money outside of tech. So it's, yeah. Why are we hanging on the employment crap? People ask employment questions. I mean, I don't think we're dwelling on it too much. I think it's it's relevant. You got to make some money in this to pay the bills. Netgear Insight was seen about swapping out. Last time I looked, Netgear Insight, I think they emailed me and I called them out for their website being having a lot of dead links in it. As far as I know, they don't have anything that you can host. It's all their hosting. So it's like a pass for me on it. So I'm not interested in another cloud that I'm attached to where all my stuff is in their cloud and I have no control over it. Perfect point in cases. What brought many of you here was in the title, UniFi outage, because UniFi's got this outage going on for way too long now. I mean, it's not like they were just down at the beginning of this podcast. It's like they're still down now. I mean, let's zoom way in here. That's a lot of red. 14, 15, 16. So yeah, 15 and 16. I'm sorry. Partial outage for 14 hours. Yeah, that's not good. I mean, that's why it's aggravating. We'll just say that. So I'm not interested in another company. let's see. Yeah, I mean, it matters. Private cloud versus public cloud. It members, who's got the rack of servers and where they're at. So Log4j much. Log4j is going to one. Oh, where's all those memes at? So hold on. That was my other thing I want to find is all the memes for it. There's a great memes page. 4j memes. Where did it go? Or did they? There was a whole page dedicated to it. Oh, there it is. It's the right one. I make sure I don't actually pull something up. It's inappropriate here. Oh, the site's not loading. It was loading before because there's been so many good memes for Log4j. There we go. These look way better than the Ubiquiti status page. It's spinning slowly. Oh, yes. And then I told them there's so many. So one CVE. Yes. What about second CVE? We've already had 2 CVEs. The internet is one vulnerable open source project away from collapse. It always has been. Yes. Yes. For sure. There's some good ones here. Yeah. Breaking into Minecraft servers, entire internet on fire. Sounds about right. This one really needs to be labeled like December 9th, December 10th. Now this one I tweeted security through antiquity. This is one of my friends had said that's their company's solution is security through antiquity. We're still running on the 1X version. I was like, yep, we'll go for that. That's I have trust issues with Ubiquiti and their games. I just don't. I don't play it. I run our own controller. I think Ubiquiti is great because they have their own controller and they have a reasonably priced product, and that's where we're at. So that's how it works. Let's see. Updates on the new studio. Yes, I had the construction people stop by my house today for the mudding and drywalling. That actually begins in a week. So yes, everything. I was just waiting on the people to come do the mud, the drywall, and everything else. So we got all the walls up and everything else in the studio. But that's where I'm at now. Yeah, Amazon is actually pretty transparent. They do nice debriefs on their outages. So that's definitely something I would go read through their outages. It's complicated running a data center that big. It's not like you have a playbook of this is standard practice. When you are the data center at the scale that they're at, where no one else is quite as big as you, mistakes are going to be made because you're at the cutting edge. You are the cutting edge. Therefore, when they do things at the scale they do, they run into unexpected conditions because there's not like, hey, let's A/B test this real quick. Let's see what the other big company exactly the same size as us is doing. And AWS is so big, it's not like there's easy ways to compare notes, not to mention they're not built the same way. So yeah, that's definitely, it's really interesting. But to address the last part, yes, the coming back online is kind of specific to Ubiquiti. That's for sure. But don't send me a message, Grayson. I mean, thanks for the message, but send a message to the people hiring. That's that's who you need to talk to, which is Ray. Ray's been on my channel before, but it's his company over at OIT VoIP. OIT VoIP. So. At some point, it is AWS down versus is the internet down? Well, a section of the internet is down when AWS goes down. I think I didn't watch all of it, but I seen Louis Rossman had posted about this. And that's one of the things he said was he got screwed over when AWS East went down because his redundancies, the two separate, he thought separate companies he had were both hosting their services in the same data center that went down. So when it's a mess. It's a mess. We got the too big to fail problem because every time it fails, we all get a day off. So this one I did really like. This is I can't remember which number. I'm trying to remember the number of it too, and I had it in my head a minute ago. But this particular one really visually sums up what's going on. All modern infrastructure, Log4j, and then the code. So, yeah, Duo for Screen Connect was down too. Yeah, Google, Amazon, and Azure, they're the only, I mean, they are massively bigger than any competition. I remember seeing some of the percentages. I don't know where it's at today, but I remember at least a year or two ago, Amazon was like 50%, and Google and Azure made up some percentage of the rest, some large percentage of the rest. But the other companies, Linode and DigitalOcean and Vultr, those guys are all like the tiniest percentages of it. Like, it was amazing how small. I mean, they're big companies too, but just how small of the cloud pie that they have. I don't know what I would do user groups for inside of pfSense with a UniFi. I don't understand it as a question. So I haven't done a video on it because I don't understand the question. Yeah, AWS is transparent. Yeah, it takes a little while before we get the debrief on it too. They try to be thorough on it. It's I don't know, like I said, it is complicated. Yeah, there's the interconnection of the cloud providers is a whole different topic too. They're not as siloed as a lot of people think they are, because there was a problem with, I remember, I think it was Screen Connect and ConnectWise. A lot of their services were not able to authenticate because of some components missing from AWS. We don't use any of the ConnectWise authentication. We use the Screen Connect product from ConnectWise, so we don't use their authentication tools. So that was I didn't experience it, but I seen people complaining about it. So I was aware of the problem, and yeah, that's about it. Back to the, I don't know, there's the memes, of course. So many things. We were lucky. We didn't find much. I didn't look today, but digging through Graylog, I didn't find much in the way of attacks on us. Mostly it was in my, I found most of the attacks inside my forums. Outside of my forums, though, I didn't really see anything. Google Compute plus Google's own service to make them more comparable. Yeah, I mean, Google runs a big data center, but I also don't know just how much they actually take the time sharing any notes. I know a lot of those people know each other. There's at least some population, some sharing of knowledge that does go amongst some of them. A lot of them are part of, I believe it's called there's an open consortium for how they build some of the things. So they do, even because Facebook's included, since Facebook runs their own data center, and Facebook has actually contributed a lot back to the community in terms of that aspect of it. The way they talk about, the way they build their servers, the way they build out their data centers. There's been a lot more knowledge sharing in that space because they all want to, the reality is that they took the time to realize something. The servers are not the value. The data that is within them is the secrets, is the gold, is the oil, the whatever tangible thing, is just that data. But the data center itself, if we all collaborate on how to run a better data center, we can all slurp up more of your data that we can monetize. Really, Sophos is getting into the switching market. That's interesting. So Share market is AWS according to Canalys. Really? I thought AWS was more than 32% of the market share. Huh. Now I'm curious. AWS cloud market share. This is not easy stuff to calculate either. Let's see. I like to do an image search for these things because I'll go with who has the biggest image. Man, who's got a slow site? Park My Cloud. Man, these sites are not going slow, not loading fast today. Here's the one that I think you found, is this one here. It's just the page is loading really slow. There we go. Oh, man. Loads another page. Hold on. Another slow page. There we go. Yeah. According to this, they only own 32%. Interesting. That's still pretty big because others is a lot of other little companies. So it's a little bit more diverse than I expected it to be. And diversity is better for the ecosystem as opposed to AWS goes down and everything goes down. So interesting now. Is President launched from a publicly exposed system and someone presses the right malicious stream them? Yes. Yeah. You know what? There was a good they had a really good one. I think it's here. If I can find it, I'll pull this up. Yeah, this is right here. Good discussion topic. If I can, there we go. Get it. Does it fill the screen? Right, there we go. So yeah, this is exactly what we're talking about right here. So yes, you even with that, you're getting external hits because it comes in, and this is, by the way, I'll drop this in there. This is just the Swiss GovCert. So you guys can look at it a little bit closer. But yes, if you have a system that has the logging in there, that's how it exfiltrates the data. Malicious LDAP server, evil.exe, vulnerable Log4j implementation. This is the workflow that attackers can send things. And this is what's so scary about it is it hits your logging server, and your logging server cannot, I use Graylog, which did have a patch out immediately for this, but there's also tools like some of the SIM tools, a lot of the stuff that's all based on Elastic, which is really popular in the open source space. If you have some type of Elastic server, which is why Graylog had to have an update for it to solve the problem with Elasticsearch. This is the real threat, is that your own logging server, which usually runs in somewhere important in the network, could be the device that gets taken over. And that's why this is a particularly scary attack, because it's just the logging. You can disable the problem part of the plugin. Yes, that's true. Let's see. This is a good point to that other graphic I had pulled up. That's my ratio is probably thinking of the US market. Yep, probably. Global market, because you have in Europe, is it OVH? Is that I think that's the big provider, that's the dominant one, not the only one, but the dominant one in the European market. And I don't think Amazon's as big in Europe as they are here. So yeah. Yes. If you send everything to DevNode, if you have no logging servers, you are less at risk. You're absolutely right. Not wrong at all. So are commercially available routers affected? I'm guessing. Yes. Let me pull that up. That is true. I'm going to get you guys the link here for people wondering. There's a list, and people said, do we have a list of everything? There's not going to be a list of everything, but there are lists out there of many things that are affected by this. And we'll go ahead and switch it to here. And the number, this is an ever growing list on GitHub, and I'll drop a link right here too. But yeah, this is when you start, for what's vulnerable in here, there's so much. It's lots of services in Amazon had this problem. Lots of services that are Apache or Arista networks. So lots of stuff from Arista. Of course, all the stuff from Atlassian. That's going to be where we're going to see this for a while. The Atlassian, Bitbucket, this one right here, Atlassian and Confluence is just hard to set up and hard to maintain. I know a few people that are maintainers of it, and they're like, yeah, this is not good. Who else is in here? Bitwarden, not vulnerable. So just in case anyone was wondering, they didn't write it in Java, so that's not an issue. BMC, where else we got? Pretty big list. Cisco, it depends on the product. So not all Cisco things, but some Cisco things are vulnerable because some Cisco stuff's in Java, some of it's not. So if it was written in Java, there's a good chance that it is. Extreme Networks, lots of their stuff. Yeah, this is a really long list. VMware was in there too, because the VMware WatchGuard, Firebox, not vulnerable. So AuthPoint, but VMware, especially where is it? Like the vCenter and vCenter servers, workarounds available. So yeah, all the big names are in here. Well, let's see. Yeah, that's that link for what I was covering on there. Well, Atlassian on-prem will go away soon. Soon is a relative term. Eventually. Soon, I don't know, but eventually, yes. I don't think there's, I'm not positive. Didn't they quit selling Atlassian on-prem? Is Juniper SRX on there? Juniper is listed as under investigation. Juniper Space is vulnerable. Juniper Northstar Controller, Paragon, and that's it. So their Paragon product line looks like it is. You got to check each individual vendor. That's one thing about it. There's a lot to keep an eye on for that. This list isn't just huge. This list gets bigger as we're doing this. If I refresh the page, I bet something else got added to this list. So this will, it's going to take a while. It's going to be a long time before this gets sorted out. There's so many people there's so many products that they're not even actively developed anymore, but they're in use somewhere, and someone didn't even realize they had a dependency on it. That's going to be a real problem for a long time to come, where, just all those homegrown little applications that someone wrote are vulnerable, and someone's going to test for it and go, hey, look what I found on this network, or exposed on some website as some service someone runs. Okay. So Atlassian, yeah, most on-prem servers will go if vendors get their way. Yeah, eventually yeah. So that's the thing. I've never used Atlassian. I just know a lot of people see any of my friends that were admins for it always hate it. So, oh yeah, I'm not passionate until I understand the long-term effects of those, for sure. We just need enough people patched to get herd immunity on the internet, and we're good. As soon as we have herd immunity reach, we'll be fine. Right. Because that's how that works. I did see that posted and I laughed because, yes. Do you know if UniFi has stopped remote access functions? I think they have unintentionally stopped remote access functions. So that was the best way I would describe it. Their systems have been down for a while, so I don't think they did it. I don't think they did it so on purpose. I think they did it by accident. I should add Java engineer to my resume and ask for 10% more. Go for it. I think people say, put Java. If you do Java, put also I survived Log4j or something along the lines of that. So, oh yeah, the Melissa's messages started right away with Log4j. I only got a very few number of them targeted specifically at my UniFi controller, and I thought that was weird. So there was some probes that went out. I was patched before I seen them because I didn't even get my first one on my UniFi controller till December 13th. But gray noise, so we can drop this here. Gray noise, it started reporting them right away. So and this is just skyrocketed up, malicious versus benign ones. So yeah, they were hitting my servers right away. They for my web servers, my web server logs, like my forums, day one, I was finding this as soon. It took like no time at all before this started getting ramped up out there. So, is there a good resource you recommend for how to check for the vulnerability? Huntress, and this is going to be fun. Let's pull up the Huntress Labs thing. Go to their blog. They have a write-up on how to do it. John Hammond has done a video on this. So yes, there's definitely some. They have a really good write-up over here at Huntress, and they have a testing tool you can test. So that's for sure. And then in other funny news, well, let me pull this up real quick and find it. But yeah, here's the Huntress. It's just in our blog post in case you don't find the URL, but I dropped it in the live stream here. Where's John Hammond posted this the other day, so you guys can all have a laugh about this. So this is a problem that occurred. And it was this here. This is the log tester that looks incredibly similar to a log tester that they wrote. So here's the Huntress log for shell vulnerability tester. And it turns out that Trend Micro, decided to copy it, and me with my jokes and whatnot, because I just wanted to throw fuel on the fire here. Trend Micro now credits Huntress for coming up with this, but yay, thanks, Trend Micro. What a way. Yeah, the silliness of this, the fact that they copied Huntress. Really, Trend? Really copying Huntress? That's where you're going with this? Oh man. So, yep. Yeah. Phishing tool imitating. Yeah. Who knows? Any tutorials on VPN in case AWS and UniFi go down again? No. I mean, this is the reason I have videos that say why you shouldn't use a UDM. I don't really have another easy solution. have access, remote access to a computer behind the UDM is probably the best solution I can come up with. So as long as you have remote access to someone local on the network, you can then log into the local web interface of the UDM. That's it. That's the only solution I really have to do it. So yeah. Trend copied the writing for Hunter Project initially, but then Trend Micro did apologize. Yeah. Yep. Or as I heard said from someone else, they're called trend micro, not cutting edge micro. They just follow the trends. And I kind of laughed at someone saying that. It was I didn't talk much about Pop! OS. I upgraded my system to the latest version. It works great. I haven't really dove into the fancy new features. Jay from Learn Linux TV does have a video on it. I haven't watched it yet. I mean, it works. I upgraded my laptop, my desktop. It went smooth. I have not had a chance to try the Raspberry Pi yet. But overall, the Pop! OS experience has been good. So where's it at? Where's their blog post about it? Pop! OS 2110. There we go. It has come out. So can you install Steam? Yeah. Yeah, Trent only apologized to Huntress because Huntress called them out. Yep, pretty much. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. So who knows? Nonetheless, lots of new stuff, new features. Overall, it's been smooth. I haven't had any problems with it. So like I said, I didn't really dive into the new features on there, but I also kind of didn't need to because it just worked. So I'm going to play around with it. Maybe I'll give my thoughts on it. I don't do much Linux distro review stuff. It's kind of off topic for me now. I feel so I use Linux every day, but I don't think about it because like Jay actually takes the time to look at other distros and offer opinion. I like Pop! OS so much. I never switch distros. I become very boring. So that's that's pretty much, I'm boring. I just keep staying with Pop now. I prefer to run XCP-ng over ESXi. So no, I do not run any ESXi servers. We have clients. I mean, I've supported them. I've set them up. They're not my thing though. I'm not a specialist in ESXi. Do you think this vulnerability will change our trust of third-party libraries? Absolutely no, and it's just not relevant anymore. That is so far beyond what can be done. No one's got time. It's just not tenable. It is not a thing that could be possibly done now. Do it. I mean, honestly, are you going to grind your own silicone after the Spectre and Meltdown things? Are you going to start designing your own chips? That way you can trust the chip design and architecture. And then you're going to write the assembly language and operating system yourself. At some point, you always have different things to trust. Doesn't mean we can't make the supply chain better, but you can't throw the supply chain away. That's just not something we can do any reasonable thing here. So it's not about trusting the libraries. There's going to be more scrutiny because this is what needs to happen to get that scrutiny. I wish this isn't what needed to happen before we got this level of scrutiny, but everything's getting better slowly by slowly, one giant fire at a time. Hey, thanks for a donation, Grayson. At least Steam does not break Pop! OS, just like part 1 of LTT. I hope not. I hope it doesn't break it. But I don't play games on my Linux computer, so there's that. I don't have really an answer for that. Today, Log4j, tomorrow SSH. It's just 2020. Yes. Yeah, if SSH breaks, it's time to go home. Like that would be worse. Yeah, you just can't write everything. It's a great thought. And I know a lot of people always start there, but once they start realizing you work in larger software development projects, you go, this isn't reasonable. I can't find enough people to write this much code for a large scale project. So it's a combination of things, because the dependency confusion problem that we seen, was that 2020 or 2021? I can't remember. Look up dependency confusion. That was an exercise in understanding how the supply chain is a little broken with implementation, but something really good. That was completely a white hat experiment that made a lot of people think differently about how we pull libraries in. So we're getting better all the time. It ain't perfect. Log4j will let us know it ain't perfect. We're just getting better. Oh, I would definitely say the supply chain has gotten better. The fact that we're even talking about it, if you knew how easy it was to get something submitted 20 years ago compared to today and just drop anything anywhere, I mean, there's actually some vetting. There's a lot more scrutiny. There's people looking at it. We are way better than we were a long time ago. So no means perfect. This is just better than we were, but still more to go is how I would answer. It's not like I'm saying we're done, sit back, relax in our chairs. No. There's still more work to do. So writing everything yourself. Well, I mean, there's some super genius that maybe could do it. There's somebody out there with some skill set that's so incredible that they could probably write everything in assembly. I doubt those people are able to do it, but maybe there's someone out there that's just so incredible they could do everything themselves. But yeah, it's honestly just not practical. And this is a challenge right now. Software development, there's a shortage of developers. That's a real world issue that we are looking at right here in 2020, 2021, and into 2022. The demand for talent is exceeding the amount of talent available in the market space right now. So that's for sure. It's hard, though. It doesn't mean there's automatically a job for you just because you studied some type of development or got some development skills. They do require, and it does take some learning. We need more apprenticeships. That's harder. I think apprenticeships are kind of hard in tech. I think that somewhere tech needs to get better at is apprenticeships and methodologies for it. Rather than just throw everyone at the help desk and hope if the help desk doesn't destroy you, you'll come out stronger and wander to the higher positions. But the help desk is your trial by fire in the tech market. Can you survive it? Can you be a functioning human being after sitting at a help desk and answering people's calls? Because that's like your test. That's your trial by fire. I tweeted about that topic about management wanting things new, and I actually encourage everyone to listen to. Let me find it real quick. So I'll drop the episode link for you. Where did it go? It's the Risky Biz recent interview they did. Security Onion. I tweet too much sometimes. Now I have trouble finding it. But it was, where did my Risky Biz tweet go? I tweeted, Risky Biz did an interview recently, and in that interview, one of the things they ended up talking about, and it was great, specifically about the demand for new being such a problem with people chasing news cycles instead of stopping to really look at their code, refactor things. That's really, it's trying to find that balance. And this is where it was specifically with right here. I'll actually drop a link. My tweets are public, so I can just drop a link to there. So in case you want to follow the people. Anyways, it was with Haroon Mir, and let me pull it up over here. Risky Business from Ramir about building a business that people want to use the products, and the problem of creating something new for the sake of new. And you're right, a lot of it is bad management, and this is where Haroon has done a good job of being a manager and managing the company in a way, because he's been running the same company, growing the company, and not really making anything, so to speak, new for the sake of new. It was if you listen to that particular episode, you'll know that you may work somewhere that does not follow these rules, but there are companies out there that actually do the right thing and follow the rules. So great podcast. If you're not familiar with Whiskey Business Podcast in general, I really like it. It's great. That particular interview I thought was insightful on that particular topic. Let's see. Yeah, started at the help desk, move up to InfoSec. Hey, not many people start in InfoSec. I mean, there's exceptions for sure, but I would say, there are some young people that right away jump right into hacking before they ever had a job, and there are other career paths out there if you're in cybersecurity, but cybersecurity is really, you look at those people and some of that stuff they do, it's exciting, but it is really high skill. You have to have that skill, that acumen to do it. Don't assume that you will get this overnight. So that's a whole different topic almost. When vetting RMM, since most are closed source, how can you effectively audit, evaluate security? Well, you have to rely on their third-party SOC audits. That's one of the things that's important if you're looking at them. So there's the only way you can really answer that is, have they gone through a full security audit? Do they have external audits? They follow SOC compliance? These are really questions you have to ask these companies. And it's also one of the reasons, because everyone keeps tweeting at me. At least I get a DM or a tweet a couple times. It seems like every couple weeks. Hey, Tom, what about tactical RMM? And I'm like, I think it's a cool project. I'm not ready to move everything to something like that because it's an open source project that seems to have a lot of passionate developers, but that's not the same as going through a solid code review, someone really taking the time to make sure there's no flaws in the implementation and things like that. You have to use a company that's gone through a level of auditing, a level of compliance, and having their, and part of the auditing they do is having third parties test them on a regular basis. And by the way, even when third parties don't test them, they're being tested. And we can't just have this, and I'll call them out. Kaseya claimed to do some testing kind of vaguely. They clearly were not. When that flaw hit with Kaseya, and it turns out they had a fail open in their code, that's even the most rudimentary of code reviews would have caught something like that. So yeah, it comes down to the contacting them. Sometimes they won't give you the audit reports until you're engaged with some RMM companies, like through an NDA and things like that. It's not, I wish they could post more of it publicly. I don't always know why they can't, but nonetheless, it is a thing you should ask any company you're going with for RMM tools, if they've went through all that. So audits don't catch everything. Depends on the auditor. You're right. There's no way to ever catch anything. Things can be audited by one firm. They don't find it. The next firm that does the auditing does find it. Simple as that. It comes down to the auditor themselves. That's, been part of many SOC audits. ISO 27001 certification is much more valuable to me in SOC audit. And even to go a step further, it comes down to how good was the auditor. That could even be brought into question. Having solid processes and everything on the inside, there's so much to it. There's no easy answer, because even with the best of it, if that product has a failure later, was the failure obvious? Was it a really clever stacking these on top of each other? And some of the hacks are really clever. Like, that's it. The hacks themselves are like really nice. And this is right here. Someone's saying a percentage of the audits aren't worth the paper they're printed on. This is, like I said, it comes down to who the auditor was. Were they more friendly? Were they actually following a rule? It's not easy. There's no, for people think there's a hard answer for any of these, there's really not. There's not like this is the answer, end of story. You either have this certificate or you don't, and that's it. It's not like that at all. It is a complex topic with no easy answers. We did the best we could. But if you happen to audit the if you have a hack as big as the Kaseya one, and you find out that they had a fail open in the code for the login, well, someone didn't even bother looking at that. I want to know who code audited that, because that was, yeah, that was a trust no one, but you'll never have any friends. So it's cool. You'll never run a business. You won't have friends. You can't say trust no one, because people always ask me, well, how do you vet this or do that? And I'm like, you just have to. If you ever want to grow a business, you'll never scale your company unless you decide to delegate some trust, that you let other people have access to passwords and have access to security. If they don't do it, you don't grow. End of story. And maybe growth's not for you, and that's fine too. I don't know the right answer. It's not for everybody. We are actually laughing about me and a couple of my friends. I'm like, maybe my dad has it figured out. He lives in the woods. He doesn't use computer much. Me and my father could not be much different from each other. You know what he's unaware of? Log4j. Has no idea. He doesn't really even watch the news. So my dad likes reading history books. Like my dad's like, what's a log4? What's a Java? Like coffee? He's not technical. Zero trust. Yeah. Zero trust is everyone's favorite. Zero trust AI. That's, you got to put the two together. Is zero trust.ai bought yet? Because that's probably a great domain. Like, can we just string buzzwords together to make domains? I mean, there's ways you could probably pull that off. So, just live. There's still places you can live. I remember watching show something. They were sheep herders. I didn't even know this was a thing, that they live very off grid. And I'm like, this is still in America. It was a rural area. And it's like, yeah, they're people that live off grid for a while doing it. I mean, we still have different, more narrower groups of people like the Amish, who aren't really probably quite as worried about the Log4j either. So there's ways to get around it, but that's not the industry I'm in or the lifestyle I'm into. So yeah. Bit site score can give you, yeah. One of the things I really liked too was Bitwarden. Bitwarden code review. Code audit. There's a series of these too. I'm just grabbing the first one to pop up in Google, but they've got they have a whole page on this somewhere. I'm trying to remember the pages off the top of my head, but Bitwarden's very transparent about their code audits. They're also open source. They have, oh wow, this is just a lot of stuff on here. But either way, you can download the PDF of their security assessment reports, their code review. This is I like how transparent they are with all of this. So have you seen Bitwarden offer family plans? Those enterprise licenses. I've never really dug into it. I just recommend a lot of people to Bitwarden. I think they have a solid product. It's what we use internally here. So yeah, that's pretty good stuff. Log4j is the IT God's way of punishing Java users. The world's being punished. I don't know if the Java users are really being punished. The world is dealing with it more so than the Java people. It's a problem. But yeah, Bitwarden does a good job with that. I'm going to wind this down. Let's do some 10 more minutes of final questions. There's a lot of you here. Smash the like button, 57 likes. So It's kind of cool watching how all this ramps up and everything. Let me share. I'll actually share for those of you that want to see it, because no one wants to just look at me. There we go. Here's how the so let's get this number up. Oh, look at that. Thank you. 68. Woohoo. Number's getting bigger. Now we're going to watch the infinity thing happen slowly by slowly. There it is. The fun delay that is that. Oh, 144p. Oh no. Oh, I didn't know that. If you have an enterprise license such as for yourself, they're offering a family plan for the staff. Well, that's cool. I have not looked at any new Dell products, so I don't have an opinion or any insight into them. I didn't know Dell was trying to do something like framework, but oh, it's just my camera. Yeah. Cool. Camera just had it there. Prepare for Christmas. I'm not prepared for. I don't like Christmas that much. I'm not a big Christmas person. I'm not too festive. Let's see. Any other questions before you wind this down? We got plenty of you clicking the like button. We're up to 109, so yay. Finally split quote of my house. You captured portal, free radius. Thanks again. Awesome. I'm glad we were able to help. That's great. Love hearing it. Do I fear that PFCE is getting abandoned? No, don't worry about it. Have I ever gone to a video conference such as a Vid Summit? I've thought about going. I feel like I should go because then I'd interact with people, but I have not gone. If I were to go, I would go to probably something like Vid Summit. So that my cousin goes to it, who's big into YouTube. She runs a bigger channel than me, but I don't know. I feel like because I'm kind of in a niche. Like, I don't know. I guess I could learn more about what I should be doing. It's just hard for me because I know the things I should be doing that I'm not doing. So that's that's the fun thing about YouTube. When will you get more UniFi hardware in? I just bought something from Target for temp. I don't know. Supply chains, no fun. Any horror stories? Yes. Kind of. We can drop this out there real quick. There was an attack found on Bleeping Computer had posted it. Let me find it real quick here. I mean, it's kind of to be expected though. Where'd it go? But there's already been an attack where they think that was what they used to get in. So, I mean, I don't think that's anything more than just expected behavior. Yeah, I'd have to find the Bleeping Computer article. I'd seen it and scrolling by. So my Log4j horror story is going to be in the future for sure. Yeah, the 655 yesterday, I posted a video about that on my channel. That's probably besides the live stream, I did a video yesterday about that on 655. Not really. Done a performance comparison, different hardware running Windows in XCP NG. Not really. Lack of interest. So yeah, who knows what bug we'll find out. It's moving fast. So wonder how long APTs have known about Log4j. Well, here's the thing. There's enough honeypots on the internet that a lot of this stuff sometimes gets discovered because of that. So and also, by the way, because we know what to look for, once you have some code out there and we know what the code is, all the people, like, for example, my friend works for a very large Fortune 500 company. They keep incredibly good logs. When there's an incident, they have 6 months backwards of logs they can go through. They're not the only company that can do that. Even we keep a pretty good number of logs and days back. So after we knew what to look for, we could then go through our logging server and see if anyone had ever sent that before. So it's, how long did APTs know? It depends. If they ever, on the off chance, hit anywhere with it that had logging at all, they could have gotten caught with it. So it's kind of I don't know, it's kind of interesting. It was interesting because the 2013 is when the particular vulnerability came in there. So 2013 is when they introduced the JNDI lookup feature that is improperly sanitizing the input data, that allows for the, where you would basically, instead do a lookup, you can instead inject code in there. You basically exceed what it was supposed to do for the log. It doesn't parse it properly, and it runs and executes whatever's in that particular spot. That wasn't introduced until then. And introduced isn't the same as we all started putting it in systems. So it took a little while before it got in systems, etc. And yeah. Claimed that December 1st was the first known attack. Yeah, I haven't looked. I mean, as people, like I said, as people are able to go through their logs and see when it first came up, that's when we're going to know if someone had it beforehand. And if they had it, they were really quiet about it. They only use it in very, very limited use cases to get in somewhere. That's going to be the question. Because sometimes that's a weird problem you run into from an investigative standpoint. You don't know how the person got in. It's a mystery. You don't have that piece of information. They know that they're in. If you follow through the details of the SolarWinds, the threat actors that were utilizing the SolarWinds made sure anytime they got their deployment, actually what was really strange about how they did it, they tested to see if they could get into the code. They didn't deploy until 3 or 4 months after the test. Then they deployed, and then they removed it from the code to make it harder to figure out. It was only a very narrow version of the SolarWinds Orion tool that was ever deployed with a payload in it. That made finding it extremely hard, because you could look at the more recent versions. Matter of fact, there were numerous versions released, and you can go back numerous versions and go, there's nothing in any of this. And as soon as they would get in, they would pivot and move away from the product that got them in, so as not to let you know how they got there. So there's a lot. It's really, really challenging figuring all that out. So thoughts on Pegasus by NSO Group? Do you think their reign is finite? There'll be another one. They're in trouble now. Some other name will come up and they'll be in trouble then. Awareness is the hard part. So well, the quite slow attacks are a lot scarier. The espionage attacks are a very different type of attack, because their purpose is for espionage, not for trying to do a smash and grab. They're not trying to drop ransomware. So yeah, very, very different attack, very different purpose, because their goal is to exfiltrate data or just stay persistently in there so they can listen and watch and exfiltrate data over time. So because they have a different goal, and their goal is not to be detected, their goal is often not to damage things. So it becomes a whole different thing. So oh yeah, the Minecraft player. That's what I love about this. It all started with Minecraft. We're just gonna drop this in chat, and we're gonna hack a Minecraft server. And when someone goes, "Oh yeah, Minecraft has a code flaw," they're like, "No, Java has a code flaw." Oh, who uses this library? Everybody. Oh, that's not good. Yes, this is an important thing that Sam brings up right here. With Log4j, you're unlikely to see any in your logs if you're compromised. Matter of fact, when it's activated, it doesn't log. It doesn't go to the log. So that's definitely a potential problem. It can be tricky to find, because that particular command, because it executes instead of logs, you may not see it. So this is just the complexities of deciphering these things. It's not easy, because it's actually executing the code instead of writing to standard out. Here we are. So, and by the way, usually people use this to avoid writing to standard out, because they're piping it to a logging, some type of other log somewhere else. So it is not an easy problem to solve. is an easy problem to patch for from a development standpoint. Pull in a new library that does proper sanitation and away you go. But yeah, in the end, it's a mess. All right. Well, thank you all 200 and something people that joined today. And I see 208 of you still here. Smash that like button before you leave. Reach me over in the forums, Twitter. Connect with me on LinkedIn if you'd like. LinkedIn's a good spot to talk business sometimes. So all the different places, I'm easy to find. Forums is if you have tech support questions, or of course, if you want to hire us for projects, you can head over to lawrencesystems.com for that too. That's a whole other thing on there. So, all right. Oh, and hey, no problem. I'll try to keep these heads up posts. I try to keep them short when I do them. So I may do more of these short little heads up posts I do when things are out there. I thought this might be something easy for me to add to the channel when there's just something to announce. It's short. You don't have to watch much. I don't put much. I put the little, I'm not doing a spiel in those videos, I should say. I'm not talking about shirts for sale or anything like that. It's just kind of to get you out there, get you noticed. But I do tweet a lot. So I try to tweet any of the security information. So if you follow me on Twitter, I try to keep in memes and relevant information. If the memes I post are all but tech related. So it's either some humor or some security information. So, all right. Thank you, everyone who came and joined, and have fun.